Do you want to keep the name obscure until you decide on it?
I don't know. I'll do it anyways. I'll do it anyways so we have it, you know. Right? Welcome to...
No,
yeah.
you need to name it Help Me Understand.
Help me understand. Okay, just an aside. Well, you can start filming because maybe you'll get some good B-roll on this, right?
I've been filming for 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So Josh said, help me understand, because whenever there'd be a fuck up at Watch You Want, right? I'd be like,
That was OJ's rant would start with,
hey, Lisa, come in here for a second. And I'm like this.
behind his big, like, Chinese boss desk.
Like 70-inch monitor. And I go, so let me get this straight.
Yeah. And then it would be...
Help me understand exactly what you were thinking.
Or the mattress. You can call it the mattress.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, I love that. Yeah, I had a great, what would you call that? Oh, God, what would you call the mattress story?
Just a story. It was just, this was your go-to. Anytime anybody made a mistake, you would call us all together and you would tell us that we saw a mattress. There was a mattress in your face. It would be bright red. You'd be fucking furious, and you tell us about a mattress in the highway, and we're just swerving around it. Nobody's going to try to get the mattress.
Okay,
The
this
point-
comes from my...
The point was probably valid. I would say the delivery
was
needed some
horrible.
help. Yeah, needed some help. Yeah, for
Horrible. No, so this comes... The origin of this story comes from my sophomore year driving teacher. And he would tell this story about how he's driving down the road with a new student driver. And about a mile up, right, they're braking and there is a mattress in the middle of the road. And of course, the driving instructor looks over at the student driver and he says, "You see the mattress in that road, right?" And she says, "Yeah," and proceeds to drive right over it, right? Because she's a student driver, right? And the metaphor of that story is, communication.
weaponized and used against us.
It was not
constantly.
weaponized. It was about communication.
Listen.
It was about clear communication, right? Saying, "Do you see that mattress in the highway?" is not clear communication. Clear communication is, do you think you should avoid that mattress in the highway? And so I think that was the metaphor.
Listen, it existed. It was,
I was a very passionate leader in a startup space where it felt like nobody could think the way I thought. Right? Would you say that's fair?
Well, undoubtedly, you're incredibly passionate. Yeah. No, listen, those days,
I am
call those
highly energetic.
Yeah,
and
which
if you were not used to being around energetic people.
Well, because I'm generally the most energetic person in the room. And then when I met you, I was like, holy crap, man, I got to start doing cocaine or something. But it was, I'll tell you this, whenever we talk, the group of us from the Watch You Want days, and that's how we call it, like, we always think fondly upon them, right? It's almost like, war buddies kind of thing, but it was a lot of fun. It was Wild West. Even my buddy Tim Masso always thinks fondly of these days. It was they only lasted for, I guess for me, it only lasted for about 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember this, but our initial core values, and we had like 5 of them.
I think there's the big poster in my
Right,
garage.
right.
So I took it when
yeah,
I closed
absolutely.
down the office.
So the 2.0 Watch You Want, right? Number 1 core value, passion drives who we are and what we do.
Oh, okay.
Right? That was it. There was transparency.
Transparency, I remember
right?
that.
Win-win dealings, right?
Yes.
But so the first rev of that, like one of my only employees was Mark Imberman.
Yeah.
Right? And he was our longest term employee. At the time, maybe there was 6 people with us. And Amanda, the CEO coach, took us into a room and we had to write all of the characteristics of the people that we worked with that we admired or that we wanted to see more of, right? We like this in this person. We need to get someone with these characteristics. And it turned out that our number 1 core value was durability.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
I was such a poor communicator and so emotional. I was passionate, and the thing about me was I'd get pissed off for 30 seconds. I'd scream, holler, drop a bunch of F-bombs. And then it was, let's move on. How can we figure this out?
The problem is on the other side of that. And me as like,
Exactly.
I'm a business owner. Like I obviously I work for 1916, right? I've been selling watches since I started working with you in 2013. But now there's many iterations, Watchbox, and now 1916, and we're a huge company, big corporate. like over 500 employees, all that
Yeah.
stuff. But now, I also have my own organization. We have 35 employees, and I'll tell you, I've learned a lot about communication because like what you said, because I'm pretty good at like letting people off the hook. And I remember, you would have a freak out, and maybe you and I would yell or whatever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like when it's over for me. That's the way the way I am in general. And some people don't like this. They're like, if you're good to me, I'm good to you. Right.
Sure.
I might not trust you because of something, whatever, but if you're good to me, I'm good to you. I don't hold grudges. Right. I feel like you're kind of that same way too.
100%.
Whereas,
Life's too short to hold a grudge.
right. But most people, especially employees, if the owner of a business or a CEO is screaming at you, you take that to heart and you're never going to get over that. So yeah, durability does make a lot of sense because I think ultimately it weeded out the people who couldn't handle that kind of stuff.
Bingo.
It's probably not the best way to run a small business.
It's really
force
funny.
people to.
I mean, it's comical looking back. Our
Yes,
number one
yes.
core durability because the CEO can't keep his anger and frustration under control.
Oh yeah.
I guess I've evolved a lot since.
But listen, the way I look at all these things, it's like I can learn from everything that's happening around me. So I'm
100%.
a better business owner because of that experience. I also like I look back on that very fondly. It was like literally when we talk about Wild West, like or Tim Masso. Whenever I'm on camera with Masso, like I was last week, he always brings up the WatchUWant days. He always said Wild West. We were in a strip mall slanging watches, and we were outlaws. And like so we were talking about, like, for example, right? So like the watch I'm wearing today is Linda Verdelin, and Jorn Verdelin was like the first CEO of a brand that took us seriously at all, came and did a show.
Yeah.
That's still up there from 2017.
We were certified pre-owned.
Yes, for them.
Lynn Verdelin.
Yeah,
baby.
in the U.S. because they're super
Right?
open-minded,
Right?
With that stuff. But they took
And
us
I
seriously.
love that brand.
Dude, it's
because
such a
to
great,
me,
great watch.
that was like the next coming of Panerai. Limited production.
Yep.
Every piece was individually numbered.
Yep.
Right? So it wasn't, 88 pieces. This is number 24 of 88 or whatever
65,
it was.
yeah. Which, by the way,
a
lot of these watches he probably never even made as many. Like he didn't make the whole.
65 of 88 with a bronze case back and a full carbon case.
Well,
that's
in a lot of ways, I think this is what Panerai kind of should be, right? Instead of a mass market, like Panerai makes 75,000 watches a year. These guys make maybe 100 because it's at this point specifically.
Maybe 100 watches?
Yeah, 100 watches a year. So because he makes everything to order now.
Wow.
He scaled down the
Yeah,
brand.
right.
He just sells direct, so back in those days, they were actually booming. They had a lot of retailers. They went too crazy.
Yeah, they did.
And
they had a lot of gray marketeers also.
Oh God,
the Brooklyn gray marketeer guys. And
it was bad.
Yeah.
So he explained to me, he was saying that like, their best year, they did like 650 watches that year. And basically his company didn't make any money. Maybe made a few bucks. Everybody else made money except him because he was, all the marketing, all the warranty issues that he was dealing with that should have been dealt with by the authorized dealers and the authorized dealers playing games and like wanting to get more margin and then when he decided, hey, we're done with this doesn't work. It's not going to work. And he canceled all those contracts. Those guys got mad and dumped all
I got
watches.
a trivia question for you.
Sure, go for it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you remember the original Lynn Verdelins and the novelty that made them different from any other watch?
Yeah, the Rock and the Reef. Yeah, we had those. In fact,
the Rock and the Reef. And what were those?
Well, so they were modules that would go over. So it was the whole idea of the brand. Right?
Really fucking cool, by the way. But the concept was that it was a diving calculator, a diving computer that you could attach to your Lynn Verdelin watch when you went scuba diving.
Right.
And
it was
was
skiing, right? That's the Rock is the skiing computer.
Was it digital?
Yeah.
It was
so
digital.
It was at the time they launched it in 2006 is when they launched that. It was highly competitive with the market, but he said, the problem with it, they stopped making those in 2012. Like the wearables, and I think the Apple Watch came out that year, and he's like, "There's no reason for us to make this. Like, we can't compete with what they're doing."
Sure.
So, but people like the design, and that's the genesis of this design. People are like, "Oh, that's looks like an AP or New Blow." It's like actually the reason for this is so that it could have the case flanks so that you can click that on there, right?
Yeah.
Which he's on his new model that he's essentially launching right now as we speak. He's doing the founder's version of the Octopus 3. This is the 2, came out in 2012, the 3, and every watch that he's ever made was made to fit that module. The first watch he's making not to fit the module. So it's
no kidding.
Same design language. It looks the
next
same.
Gen.
He's next
This
gen.
is like 3.0.
Basically, so he scaled down the size a little bit. He put a nicer movement in there. He's partnered
That's
with
cool, man. All right, so let's talk
watchmaker. Yeah.
Yeah. So, one thing I don't, as long as we've known each other, we've known each other since 2013.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about your journey as a watch enthusiast? I only know what, like when I met you in 2013. So, what would you say, going back to your earliest memories or whatever, like what's your journey as a watch enthusiast? Where did it start? What's that look like?
So
Share that with us.
It started when I started working for you.
That's it. You didn't know watches. You didn't appreciate luxury watches.
Didn't give
never
a
had
shit.
a what the hell's wrong with you?
So the closest thing I got to a luxury watch is because remember when I started working with you, I had worked in China for the year before.
Right. You were buying iPhones.
iPhone cases. Well,
you were buying gray market iPhones standing in line, right?
No, that's way before that. That was back in like 2008. I had that's how I got involved in like business in general. We started flipping iPhones, but that's something.
Yeah, I remember you telling me those.
So I have a long story about that, which is probably not relevant here. But when I lived in China, I lived in Shanghai, and there was a fake market that I would go to like on my days off, and I would go there to negotiate with these people in order to practice my English. And they had a bunch of fake watches, and in fact, I gave.
You mean practice your Chinese?
Yeah. What did I say? English,
but that's okay.
Well, they both.
I get it.
I need to practice.
You were teaching them English. You were practicing your Chinese.
My Chinese. So I would go to the fake market. So like I was exposed to like Hublot, Forever U-Boat was a brand, Tag Heuer,
and these were all knockoffs.
Omega. They were all knockoffs, but I had never heard of any of these brands before that. So, but I knew about these brands because of the fake watches. In fact, I had a fake Tag Heuer and a fake Hublot that I brought back just as almost like souvenirs. So that was my exposure. My dad had a Tag Heuer, and I knew about Rolex because everybody did, but I didn't know any. And you and I don't know if you remember this. You and I used to have arguments about. I told people, especially early on, I definitely disagree with this now, but not so much. But I would say, especially in the beginning, I'm a sales guy. I need to know people, right? I don't need to know everything about the watches in order to be successful. That was the whole thing. I'm like, I don't think I need a lot of watch knowledge because this is a people business. I just need to know the people.
You're right. I do remember having
and I had
spirited conversation.
Yes. Full on knocked. But I think I was the only person in the office.
This is the funny thing. I love Josh like he was my little brother. How old are you?
38.
Okay, good. He could be my little brother, sort of, kind of. Yeah. But man, him and I would go at it, and I'm always like, "What the fuck is this motherfucker? What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's the problem I have. Because I generally
this motherfucker thinks he knows everything.
Yeah,
and the reality was, like, I'm looking at my fucking mirror, at my mirror image.
Well, I definitely thought I knew more than I did back then, for sure. What's funny is that, like a few years into working for you, I felt like I was a watch expert. And now I look back and I see like now with the rise of all these social media guys, and there's guys my age or younger.
Oh.
I've been doing this for more than a decade, right? I think I'm coming up on $75 million in total sales from the day I started, right? Like, because I track that stuff. So, but I don't consider myself a watch expert at all. Like, there's guys in our office that have been doing this for 40 years. You've been doing it for what, minimum 25 years? Like, right?
25 years and a watch lover since I was 10.
Right. So, and now we see these guys on social media, and they're social media experts. They're great at engagement, all that stuff.
Sure.
They have these opinions that are nonsense, and they make up lies about like all this stuff. But it's funny because I remember back then thinking, well, I'm a couple of years into work in the industry. I'm like, I'm selling $1 million a year, which is like nonsense now. Like, I'll get fired for doing that much now. But like, I'm like, I know what I'm talking about. I deal with all this stuff. And now I look back, I'm like, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But I still do, like, as a salesperson, but also a watch salesperson. It's about the person. It's about the people.
Of course.
Right? Like, especially now with like the AI, ChatGPT, and like the internet and all that stuff. Like, I certainly have to have a level of knowledge in order to be able to have a conversation with a real collector. But I don't need to be an expert on a watch. Like,
you need to be a good question asker.
Yeah.
Because they'll tell you more. And I think I told you this once upon a time.
Yeah.
Whoever you're talking to about watches, most of the time, they know more about that watch than you do.
100%.
Right? They've already stemmed on it. They've already gone deep. Just talk to them. Ask them questions.
Just have a conversation. Be a real guy.
Have a conversation.
And that's my best clients now. Like, I had a conversation with a guy last week about this, and he's like, and he goes, he was talking about how when I first met him, we were talking like lower end watches. And now he's got this insane collection over the last maybe like 7-8 years, and about how like why he likes dealing with me because he's dealt with a lot of guys, and now it's just me. And I told him, I go, listen, I don't deserve all your business. Like, if you find a watch at a better price,
well, you can call me.
Exactly. Yeah. But the point I'm making is that like I don't take that for granted. I don't the way I see it is like, and this is something that I ingrained in me from when I was a little kid. And I don't know why. And maybe people look at it being like stubborn or whatever, but like I don't like being told what I want to hear. and I'm allergic to telling other people that too, right? So
and
like,
you also don't like being told what to do.
Well, yeah, I've gotten much better at that for sure, without a doubt. Yeah, early on, I would be like just push back for no reason. I'm a much better teammate as opposed to like a leader now. I can be both. Like I can be led and I can be the leader.
Sure.
And like it comes with maturity, right? Like I was 24 years old when I started working with you, or 25 or whatever. So like I was a kid. And now I got 2 kids, and like life's very different. But and that just comes with maturity, I think. But one thing for me, and I think the reason why I've been able to be successful is that like in this industry specifically, there's a lot of guys that will tell you what you want to hear. Like these guys. Like there's these guys out there that will tell you. This is the whole thing with like the wait list on watches.
Please.
It's like I did a podcast a few years ago about how like the lie of the wait list, and it doesn't exist, and how like it's an easy way to get people back out the door without confrontation from like a low-level salesperson at a boutique. But it's just there's so many people that are going to tell you what you want to hear to sell you expensive shit.
Sure, we'll put you on the wait list.
Right.
Yeah. Sure, if you buy one of those, we'll get you an Aquanaut.
Right.
In 5 years after you've dropped $250,000.
Exactly. or I mean, $250,000 doesn't even get you that now these days. But it's interesting to see like how, and it just so for me, that's just been my personality, and luckily it worked out because like I've built. All my best customers know that they can ask me straight. Like I had a guy who wanted to buy a paddock from me at 1916, and there was another guy who was a smaller dealer, had the watch for almost $10,000 cheaper, right? And I explained, I'm like, hey, we're going to cover the service. Like there's a lot of value here, right? But ultimately, I don't know if there's $10,000 in value there.
Yeah,
like
that's a tough one.
if it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, even $5,000, sometimes it makes sense to buy it from the big guy who can service it and guarantee it and all that stuff. So I stopped selling him. I'm like, listen, if you can truly get the watch for $10,000 less, this is what you need to do in order to protect yourself. Which I didn't think that they were going to agree to that, to be honest with you, right? So like the other seller, I assumed that they were going to tell him to go screw off and he's going to come back and buy the watch. But I gave him real advice. I said, here, if I were you, I would tell them, and put it in writing that, because he was worried about authenticity. And I go, it needs to be authenticated by Paddock, right? Like if Paddock says it's good, it's good. And he's like, well, they have their own authentication process. And I go, that's all nonsense. Don't listen to any of that, right? And they go, oh, they only have a short return period. And I go, yeah, because that he was going to say, he was actually going to leave it alone because they have like a 5-day return period and it was going to take longer to get authenticated. I'm like, yeah, but if it comes back fake, they can't make you keep it.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what, you're right. So ultimately he ended up getting the watch from the other dealer. They shipped it to New York Paddock. They got I think it was just got a service estimate or whatever, but like guaranteed authentic. He texted me yesterday. He's like, dude, I wish I bought this from you, but I'm so thank God that you helped me with this. Yeah. And his next watch.
More importantly, you guys are still talking.
Well, exactly.
And, this to me is what, this is the DNA of WatchUWant, which came from my years at Merrill Lynch. And it was relationship-based selling.
It's everything. Yeah.
It was total customer lifetime value, right? Terms they use at 1960. These are your KPIs. Total lifetime customer value. And by the way, it's not just about the watches you sold them.
No.
Right? Because we can make more money buying watches than selling them. So it's looking at the totality of the relationship.
And referrals and frequency, all that stuff.
You talk to watch dealers, they don't use the R word, man. They don't say relationship. No. They don't, and the other word that is never used in the watch business is the A word, advisory.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Dude, I just want to be your guy, right? I may not sell you. And like you said, I don't even deserve to sell you all your watches. There's guys that are better equipped to sell you certain watches or can do better price. But guess what? I'm your guy.
Right.
I'll be your sounding board. Mm-hmm. I'll be your advisor.
Yes.
I'll be your consigliere, your Sherpa, or whatever you want to call it. But just know, you don't need to just go off half cock because you're worried you're not giving me the business.
Right.
Are you cell phone based?
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that's, my whole positioning in terms of like how my business is what I call hyper personalized because you got my cell phone. That's my lifeline. That's the only phone number in this world I got 24/7. And texts, I may not respond to a text immediately, but I'm going down my text. Yeah. I'm looking at my missed calls. Sure. And that's literally my business management, my CRM.
So whenever I meet a new customer or a new client, potential client, we talk about whatever. At the end of that first phone call, I always say, like, this is my cell phone number. You can save it. So long as I'm awake and sober, I answer. It's true, really. Like, that's
Yeah.
and that's generally,
Hell yeah.
that's how I work.
And we do some of our best deals after midnight, lying in bed and texting, you know? And I'm like,
yeah.
Just nailed that one, you know?
Or just like, being available. And it's funny because like sometimes we get caught up in, so now I'm one of the senior guys. It's funny, like, our salespeople are called client advisors too.
Sure.
Right? And it's very important.
Yeah, you're like high net worth advisors, right?
Essentially, right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're dealing with,
and that's
not as important as, a stock portfolio or whatever, but it's,
sure.
But it's,
to some of these guys, it's more fucking important,
well,
man.
Yeah, in terms of their passion. But I mean, it's like, you're spending that kind of money. Right?
Yeah,
So,
100%.
But so like sometimes I talk to these guys and they think that like, they're so worried about like competition. I go, the problem, the difference, right? And they're like, oh, this guy says he can get it for $3,000 cheaper. And I go, yeah, but when he calls that person, they don't call him back for 3 days.
Right.
Right. So that,
or better yet, you can't get the guy on the phone.
Right, it's
You're
only
dealing with email,
and-
eBay,
yeah, exactly.
Corona 24. There's no direct connect. And that's
some people don't want it, which is
accessibility.
that's fine.
I say accessibility is probably one of the most underappreciated commodities in the watch business. Because no one says I'm accessible.
No.
They're like, don't fucking call me, man. If it's not an expensive watch, I can't make 10. Don't buy it.
Right.
I got minions for that.
Right.
I got
a lot of these folks hate their customers. And well, so it's an interesting concept. So I was talking to my buddy, one of my best friends who he owns a logistics business, Ryan. So
yeah, of course.
Actually, is the reason why I have the job, by the way. I'll tell you that story in a
Because
second.
Shannon wanted to hire Ryan.
Yeah.
And
he's
Ryan
like,
was doing too good, but he got my
I
buddy.
got a job, but I have a buddy. And then that's how it all started. Right. So, I was telling him about our watch industry, and I go, one of the things that's so interesting about our industry is that it's dominated by amateurs, right? It's like similar to kind of real estate, right? Like especially in Florida, where like everybody's a real estate agent, right?
Or a flipper.
Right. Well, exactly. So like there are, the watch industry from the outside looking in looks huge. Like there's all these big sellers, and you can't tell the size between this one or that one. And everybody, if you have a big social media following, you must be humongous or whatever. And but realistically, there's a handful of like serious, legitimate, full-time sellers.
Yeah.
Like 1916, like I said, I think we have over 500 employees. Like it's a serious operation across like 3 continents and all that stuff, right? But even then, there's,
as we say, from humble beginnings.
Very humble. But when I started with you, I think there was like 15 or 18 employees, right? Which is still like, it was bigger than most operations. It was probably.
We were the biggest. People were like, what? You got 3 watchmakers? Why would you have 3 watchmakers? What? You got a guy that checks in your watches. He doesn't do anything else, but goes through due diligence on your watches, make sure they're not fake.
Well, this is why, like, the majority of the watch industry, and maybe less so now, but especially when I started, it was like 47th Street, Seabold, all that, because they weren't like business owners, right? They were just they were either
hustlers.
They were diamond guys. And they saw an opportunity to make money in watches, and they learned about that. But like they all share a watchmaker, right? They all share, whatever shipping account, all that stuff, and they're just moving things here and there, and they really don't really talk to their customers, right? Like the
pure transactional.
It's all
and that's it. And that was the antithesis of what because I said, why would you want to be transactional when you got a guy who's, a crack addict, and you can be his go-to.
Right, yeah.
That's what we told people. We want to be your number 1 drug dealer.
Right. Well, that's, I think, because you came outside of like the jewelry and watch business.
Yes,
you came into
100%.
it as like a people person. Like I'm a people person, right?
Yeah.
Like first and foremost, and that's the thing I love about this job. Like, so going back to when I started, right? So I lived in China, and I was working for an export company over there. And I did a 1-year contract, and I was there with my then fiance, now wife. And I wanted to go back. I liked it so much, and we made good money. We were able to save money. It was awesome. And so we come back for like, in my mind, it was going to be, okay, we're going to 4 months back home, and then we're going to go back to China. And my wife's like, or my fiance at the time, she's like, no, I'm not leaving again. The first time she left Florida was to go to China with me, right? So she tells me, hey, it's either me or China. So I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I proposed to you, so I guess it's not China.
China's off the table.
China's off the table. So I started taking interviews at different jobs, and I got to like 3rd and 4th interviews at a few different companies, and the one that was essentially offering the most was a company called Cintas. Cintas?
Yeah, of course, uniform rentals.
So I got on my 4th interview with Cintas, and I went on a field ride with these guys, and they're selling like toilet paper, basically, right? And I remember, I go on a field ride with their number 1 guy. And in the morning, we're making phone calls to like just calling out of the phone book to try to book appointments.
Sure.
And so I booked an appointment. I'm like, oh, it's great. Okay, I can do this. And then in between like that 9 a.m. when we hit the road, and then our appointment was at 11, we start just go knocking on doors. We happen to walk into a store, and it just so happened coincidence that this is the people that I booked the appointment with. And they're like, well, we're here now. Let's have the conversation. So I helped wingman a sale with the guy, and we closed the sale. Like on my first essentially day, it was a field ride, right? So he walks out with me, and he's furious. We just closed the sale, right? And I helped him like a lot, right? And he's furious. He goes, hey man, you can't be talking when I'm talking. And I go, excuse me? We just closed the sale together. What are you talking about? You should be high-fiving me. And so after that, I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, and I was going to take the job. I think it was like a $50,000 base and commission that would have got me to like $80,000 or $90,000, which was a lot of money for me at that point. So I'm like, crap. So that was the job I was going to take. And then like the same day or the next day, I'm driving around and I get a call from my buddy Ryan. And he goes, hey, one of my accounts, because he was your shipping rep, one of my accounts is looking for some sales guys. Do you want to come and interview? And so at that time, what I was doing for money was I was importing cell phone cases from a factory in China that I had built a relationship with. And I was literally driving around hustling those.
And again, to put the calendar date on this is 2013.
13, yes, exactly. So this was August of 2013.
Yeah.
So so I'm hustling. I was actually making good money. I think I was looking back at that and I was making like $7,000, $8,000 a month flipping iPhone cases. Like not a real business, but just me driving around, knocking on doors and selling these iPhone or cell phone cases. So he's like, hey, do you want to come in for an interview? I'm like, sure. I'm taking interviews. I'm probably going to have to take this job at Cintas, but I'm not excited about it after what just happened. But like, I got to do something. And it seems like the money's going to be okay. And by the way, that was their number one guy, which is hilarious to me. So I come in and I talk to Shannon. And first thing I'm thinking,
Shannon Beck.
Shannon
Whoop,
Beck.
whoop.
Yes, exactly.
Big ups.
One of my best friends.
Big shout out. Oh, she's
Shannon.
the best.
My
Shannon
kids are
is the
obsessed with
fucking
her.
best.
She's
like Auntie Shannon, right?
for everybody.
God
She's the
bless.
best, right? So
Yeah, I mean, this is the house that WatchUWant built.
yes. So yeah, but Shannon's the greatest. So I can do it. I'm sitting down with the interview with her, and I'm looking around. I'm like, how these people like watches? Like there can't be enough money in this. And she shows me the comp, and I'm like, oh, well, this is half of what I would be getting at Cintas. But she shows me like the comp breakdown and how you can make all this money and how you get to six figures, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, I'm kind of unimpressed and a little what's the word? I'm unconvinced. But then it's probably illegal, but she showed me pay stub for your number one guy and how much he had made the year before. And it was like $160,000 or whatever, which for me, I'm like, wow, I'm rich if I can make that kind of money. And I look at it, I'm thinking to myself, I remember sitting there looking at her thinking, well, I'm better than that guy, right? After spending like 5 minutes talking to him. So I go to leave and Shannon walks me out. We hit it off because Shannon, like, she can make friends with anybody, like, in 2 seconds,
100%.
right? So I like her. The idea is kind of interesting. And I met, like, I remember Tom Suter. For whatever reason, I clicked with him
Suter,
immediately.
our sales manager.
I love Tom. I just went up and saw him a few weeks ago. But so I'm leaving, and she goes, listen, right? I understand we don't, our comp doesn't look that great on the surface, but you can make a lot of money. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, I just kept going through my head, I'm better than that guy, so I can make the money. So I look at her and I go, listen, I'm going to talk to my wife, but I think if you make me an offer, I'd probably accept it, right? Like that's how I felt. So she impressed upon me.
But you hadn't even met me at that point.
No, you were on vacation. So
that's right. I was
thank
on
God.
vacation.
If I had met you, I probably would have said no.
I don't remember which vacation
you
that
were in
was.
Colorado.
Oh shit! Yeah, absolutely. That was Evie's 40th birthday in Colorado.
So there you go. So, but then the rest is history. I got the job offer. I took it, and
that's right. I came home and you were working.
I was there, and I already started.
It was
selling.
all Shannon.
Actually,
that's so funny. I wish I could say I was the reason you joined WatchUWant.
No.
It was all Shannon Beck. I want to hear about your watch journey. As you said, it began with WatchUWant.
Right.
So what was the first, tell me about that journey. What was the evolution in terms of where it started and like where you are today?
So personal collecting. So number one, it took me probably a month or two to wrap my head around the fact that people were spending this kind of money on watches.
It took me 10 years.
Well, but I mean, I remember talking to people and they're like, what do you mean you sell watches? Like, what, like, like a G-Shock, like what are you talking about? I go, no, Rolex, Patek. Actually, the first time I ever heard Patek Philippe was when I told my grandmother I was taking the job. She said that her at that point deceased husband had a Patek Philippe. He had told her about that. So that was the first time I ever heard that word. But so yeah, it took me a bit to even wrap my head around this. I remember talking like early on, first week or so. I sold a Breitling for like $5,000 or $8,000, and I told my buddy Ryan, and he's like, somebody spent $8,000 on a watch. So,
and they didn't even know you?
Bro, yeah, well, yeah, it was over the phone, whatever. Like, you know, I mean, and but the way I am, I get obsessed with things pretty quickly, right? Like if I focus on
no
something,
kidding.
yeah,
You a stemmer? I can't believe
big
that.
time. Well, like, you know, I do this with a lot of stuff, right? And so,
Yeah, it's like a hyper. I call it my superhero ability to hyper focus.
yeah, I can hyper focus. So, but the first watch I ever bought, actually, turns out it was this watch right here, right? It's a Breitling Aerospace Evo.
The Aerospace Evo.
Bought it on eBay. It came on a leather strap with the Breitling buckle. I don't know. I probably pilfered this from you one day. I don't even know where I got the strap and buckle, but probably came out of like a bucket at WatchUWant.
Definitely came out of a bucket.
Yeah. So this was the very first watch I ever bought, and it's still the most complicated watch I've ever owned. Right. This literally has everything you can. It has a chrono. It's a dual time. It has a
well. The thing
time
about it
and
is it's
hour,
both digital and analog, right?
Digital, analog. So like this watch has seen a lot. I've taken this watch all over the world. I've gone fishing with it. It's my gym watch now. So this is the first watch. So the second watch I bought. So here's the story about the Panerai. So I would consider myself a Panerai. I think I probably know more about Panerai than you do at this point, just because I've gone so far down the rabbit hole. But at least
you're fucking throwing down the gauntlet, man. I'll go toe to toe.
The point
man.
is, well, first of all, there's very few people who actually care about Panerai these days. Anyway, I think you and I are the only ones left. But so
I was in a room with them.
Yeah.
At P-Day, and listen, Panerai fever is alive and well.
Great. Well, it makes me feel good. There's something about a Panerai that I just like. I don't know what it is. I always look at it like it. So
it's like the bro watch, you know? It's just, it exudes this freaking energy and also this like tractor beam that dude, if you went somewhere and there was a guy wearing a Panerai 50 feet away,
you could spot it. That's
and you'd not be able to prevent yourself from talking to him.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be stemming on how am I going to meet this guy? I wonder
unless he's wearing a duet, but
I wonder if I sold him that watch. I wonder where he buys his watches from. Like, how can I figure this out?
Well, I'm not quite a psycho like that, but I do notice the watches. I like them. I just like my
You're
Panerai.
every bit as psycho as me, brother. Okay, don't kid yourself.
Okay, so the story with the 380, right? So this was probably a few months later. I had been making some commissions, and I was actually going to buy a 000. We had it.
The 000 is the logo Panerai.
Logo, Luminor, a manual wind.
First Panerai post 2000 with the OP logo.
Exactly.
Prevent Dome logo.
Literally. Okay.
And they were premiums. It was a special watch.
It was a great watch, and we had one in our safe. And I remember like I had a few bucks. I think at that point it would have been like our cost was like $3,500, and I got Shannon to say like, hey, you can buy it at cost. So I had the watch on my desk, and I'm like firing myself up to buy this watch. And I'm like, yo, I'm wearing it. I love it. And I'm starting to really like, okay, this is so great. So like the end of this day, I'm going to own this watch. Right. And then one of the other sales guys sells that watch. like as I'm holding it, he's like, hey, Matt, just sold that watch. Look off. Right. So I'm depressed, but I've already made a buying decision. Right. Like I've already bought the watch in my head, and now I'm furious. So I go back to the safe, and I look around, and I see the Panerai 380, which is basically the exact same watch, just in a radio mirror. It has the same dial. It's a base with the OP logo.
Yeah.
3-day movement, but it's a radio mirror. So it was less money too, which was nice. I think our cost was like $2,500 on that watch. So I go to Shannon. I go, hey, I want to buy this. Can we take it off the website now? She's like, okay, sure. So then I made that. So I ended up buying that watch, and I ended up wearing that. I mean, I owned that watch up until recently. I sold it. So the second Panerai I bought, if we're talking about my collecting journey, right, was, and we were just talking about this before. So I had a client who owned a hotel in Jamaica on 7 Mile Beach. Okay. And this must have been like 2015 or 2016 or something, I'm guessing. So he invites me to come stay a few nights. I talk to my wife, like, okay, great. So we go down there, and it's absolutely amazing. And he goes, hey, by the way, a few years ago, one of my staff was snorkeling because the water's like knee deep for like 300 miles or 300 yards. And he was snorkeling, and he finds this watch, and he shows it to me. He's like, I don't know if it's real. And if it is real, you want to buy it? I'm like, sure, let me take a look at it. Right. So looking back now, I'm like, I don't even know how thank God it was real. Cause like, I had no real way to like identify it. So I pop it open. I look at it. I pop it open. I have my laptop, and I identify it's a PAM 002. Right. It's an A series.
That's an early. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's the A series
First-
luminar base.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, with a tritium dial and everything.
Tritium dial. Pink
I have
tritium
one of
dial.
those, by the way.
It's So it's and the movement was
remember
rusted and everything. So I think I gave him $500 for the watch. And I thought it was so cool. It didn't work, right? So I bring it back and I give it to our watchmaker, Mike.
I remember that watch. I remember seeing that watch.
Yes.
Big shout out to Mike Michaels at
Michaels.
IWC in Richmond.
Yes, exactly. So I hand it to him and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this watch? He looks at it, goes, it's real. I'm like, oh, thank God. And he ended up doing the first service on it. He cleaned up the movement. He ordered some parts. And he got it running. We kept the dial. And I think we swapped out the hands. So I had Luminova hands, but the dial was right. And that was, so that was about 10 years ago. That watch right now was sent out to Panerai because the dial finally fell apart.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to change the dial, which is sad. But
God.
and they're probably going to
$2,500 later.
Yeah, I think that, it was a little bit less, but not much. So that was my second Panerai.
Okay.
And then I probably didn't really start buying watches seriously until like after like 2018, 2019. I started making really good money because the market boomed.
And you're at Watchbox.
Yeah, so I was Watchbox
Right.
at the time.
So the full conversion of WatchUWant to a Watchbox
So I
has
moved to-
occurred at this point.
So I moved to Philadelphia
Right.
with some of the WatchUWant staff.
Yeah. There was
and
like 12 people, I think that went, right?
15, 12 or something
15,
like that,
yeah.
right? So
And a number of them still there.
fewer
might add.
and fewer, but I mean, that's just how it goes. But
It's been a while.
There's a handful of us still around,
Yeah.
right? I mean, things change or whatever. People want to leave Philadelphia, which I did too. But so 2017 and 2019, I lived in Philly. The market boomed. I started making more money. I started buying watches. So like I've probably owned I went through 1 year. I bought like every single Tudor Black Bay you could imagine, and I went through a bunch of those. I've had, like I said, the Audemars, the titanium offshore, which I think is probably the best watch they ever made. Like Audemars is interesting because what people don't remember. It's funny because there's a lot of guys now that started buying watches in 2021. Like that was like after COVID, the market exploded,
Of course, yeah.
like 10x the size. And so now these guys, and they only know that AP is the hottest watch. But you remember
Right.
as well as I do, these watches used to trade at large discounts. Nobody
First of
wanted
all,
an
you
offshore.
couldn't even sell a Royal Oak.
No.
They only wanted
Offshore.
offshores until COVID.
Yes.
Literally until COVID.
Yep.
Right? And that's what I tell people. Like, Royal Oaks sold at like 50% off
Yeah,
retail.
well,
you know?
30, yeah,
like,
30,
you couldn't
50.
give
Well, it
those
was a-
damn things away.
I looked this up recently because I was having like a kind of an argument with somebody about it. And I looked it up in our old, because DMS still exists. And I looked it up in there.
Going back
Yeah.
that far?
Yeah, I went back to 2017, and
Holy
the
shit.
retail on a 41 millimeter Royal Oak was 17.8, and we would sell them for 12. So we were buying them for like 9, right? 9 and 10. Like it's and people were like, no way. I'm like, yeah, dude.
If they had a blue dial, we got an extra $2,000.
Right, exactly.
That was
Right.
it.
So that was it, and even
And offshores, the average offshore is like 17.5.
the offshores traded a little bit higher, but they had a higher retail. They had a $25,000.
They had a
retail.
$25,000 retail.
And they would sell for
exactly.
like between 15 and 17, depending on their dial. Like,
Dude.
well, and remember the Montauk Highway was like the
Of
baddest
course,
one.
man.
That's still, I love that watch.
sky blue and brown colorway.
Yes.
The Montauk Highway. I remember it fondly.
So for me, like, I don't have small wrists, right? Like I got.
You got bigger wrists than I do.
Well,
probably.
for sure. So
I'm 7 inches on a good day.
Everybody does, right? So, but so I've owned a bunch of like the 41 millimeter Rolex are too big for my wrist. They wear like really like a 44, and they're not comfortable. I don't really love the bracelet and all that stuff. I had a few offshores, and they were just like the lug to lug was so big that it would never stay on your wrist.
And you and I have the same thing.
I have
We got
flat
the
wrists.
bump. And we got the bump.
Yeah,
I got the bump.
Yeah, exactly.
We got the bump.
Yeah,
There's the bump.
so you got to wear
Where's my bump?
you gotta
This
wear
is
it-
why I love Panerais, because Panerais cover the bump.
Yeah, but you wear it below that, right? So, but so
I wear it on.
the one, so I bought in 20, I'm trying to think when I bought it. I don't remember now, but I bought a titanium offshore. At the time, I think I paid 14 grand for it. This was pre the boom.
Yeah.
I had that watch for like 4 or 5 years. I think I ended up selling it at the height for like $19,000. So that was like, I
Sure.
think that's the only watch I personally ever had that I made money on. But that watch is, but I love that watch. When I start getting heavy and collecting again, I'll probably end up buying that one again. But like stainless steel, it's not comfortable. It's too heavy. Maybe a ceramic diver or something I might wear. But
Sure.
but so let me think here. Oh, so Rolexes, I've owned both my girls when they were born. I was wearing a Rolex on my wrist. So like I had
Yeah.
a white dial 41 millimeter date just on Jubilee when my first daughter was born, and then I was wearing a black
Was that a stick or was that a Roman dial?
stick. I don't like Romans. Yeah. So, but yeah, good question. So, and then for my second daughter, I was wearing a black dial 42 millimeter Explorer 2. So I'll always remember that. And when I see those watches, it'll bring, but I don't even keep the actual watch, like especially if it's a Panerai, you know.
Okay.
Like, you know, if it's a watch. It's funny. This was the first watch, so I kept it.
Fuck
but also,
sentimentality, bitches.
well, but no, but sentimentality doesn't have to stay with the actual watch itself. Like I can be sentimental when I see the watch. That's how I see it.
I see a watch on someone's wrist, and I think about when I bought it. I'm like, oh shit, I sold that watch to Steve Smith in 2017.
Yes, literally. So that's how I think about it. Maybe it's because we're dealers that's
It's
why
just
we have
the imprint. It's how we connect,
right?
And it's the imprint. And I always say, like, you know, look, there's a connection, man. It's cosmic, it's energetic, and it's a juju, you know, and you can feel when there's bad watches.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you like, oh, no, something, but I don't like this watch at all.
Yeah, there's certainly something like kind of supernatural about it, without a doubt. So I went through a bunch of watches, and then so this Panerai right here, I think it's a Panerai I'll never sell.
Never.
I don't think so.
So that's one you'll never sell.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because every time I went to go sell, so for two reasons. Number one,
that's the PAM 233 8-day power reserve. This was the first watch that Panerai released with the 8-day manual winding in-house power reserve. So it was an in-house movement, and the novelty was twofold. It had a horizontal power reserve indicator on the dial.
Yeah.
Where most of the time when they were manual wind watches, the power reserve indicator was viewable through the case back, or not at all in some cases.
Yeah.
Right? So this got the power reserve on the dial, and it had a GMT that had a circle that when it was daytime, that circle would be in green luminous, and when it was nighttime, it would fill in black.
So that's the dot dial, which they made for 2 years. Right. This one is not. This is the AM PM, and I think it has to do with manufacturing. So
yeah,
but
so it was the I and J were the dots.
Yes.
And then LMNO is where the...
think. Yeah. No, it's an O. So this is a 2012.
Oh, yeah. Wait, yeah.
So I bought this on eBay. But so for two reasons. The reason, most of the watches that end up staying in my collection, it's either I really, really like them, or, and it's generally a combination, or they're not worth anything to sell. So you know, that's the thing. Like, I'm not really going to get anything for this watch, but and what I would get for it, in my mind, I'm like, well, like if I get $5,000 for this watch, I'm like, this watch is worth more than $5,000 to me. Like, what am I going to replace it with?
Right.
So I love this watch. My PAM 233, I think it's the best Panerai. Anybody ever asked me like, hey, what's one Panerai to buy? 233 is the best Panerai they ever made.
I love
That's the way I look at it.
Because we have a 233 available at Secondtime.
There you go. Shameless plug there. And then, so the other one I want to talk about.
And it's complete with box and papers too.
So last watch.
So going on to your watch journey. So this is a piece that's a significant watch in your watch journey.
Yeah, I'll never sell this watch, and I'll tell you why, right? So similar to Lynn Verdelin, right? Like I'm a people person. It's the reason why.
Really?
So obviously I like these watches, but if Jorn Verdelin was like an asshole, I wouldn't it would spoil me, right?
Sure.
The fact that he's a nice person and he's like a real guy makes it that much better, right?
Yes, for sure.
And so there's a small group, in my opinion, of watch executives or CEOs or founders or whatever you want to call them that are like real people, right? Like Aaron Bazarkanian from Havid Nagan, one of my, now I would call him a good friend, amazing guy. He makes awesome watches. So
I've never even heard of that brand, Josh.
Exactly.
You're stumping me already.
Once you start
those
collecting
micro
watches,
brands are very hard to keep up with because
there's independent micro brand, some Studio Underdog's a micro brand. These are independent watch manufacturers. So, okay. So Garrick, right? So Garrick, David Brailsford is the founder of Garrick. So he runs, if I'm not mistaken, the largest or the only Breitling service center in the UK. He's from the UK, right? So as part of that, he decided he wanted to have his own watch brand. So he started making his own watches. And so one night, this was during COVID, I think it was like either 2021. So I'm on my text group with Shelby and a few other watch guys that were all just talking shit about watches, stuck at home. And I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see a post with a Garrick watch. And I screenshot and I send it to my group. And I go, hey, what do you guys think about this? And Shelby or somebody goes, yeah, man, these are great. Can you believe how cheap they are? And I go, what? So I go to their website. And I'm like, the watches range from like $4,000 to like $8,000, but they look like they're like at first glance, they look like these are like $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 handmade watches.
They look like Groenfelds. That's what I think they look like.
Similar. You know? Well, it's
So it reminds me of a Groenfeld.
Well, they're
a cross between a Groenfeld and a Glashütte original Panomatic.
Well, so all these watch brands, like the ones that are the most popular now, and including this one in some kind of capacity are like derivative of Breguet and then like George Daniels kind of stuff. Like, so, George Daniels, British guy, Roger Smith.
Yeah.
This is British. So, so then I
These
then
were the British Masters guys from like
Yes.
Graham
Well, George-
and from
George
Arnold and
Daniels.
Son, Back and Strauss, those
Sure.
guys.
So, but George Daniels is like the father of independent watchmaking. In my opinion, the greatest watchmaker of the modern era, all that stuff. So, so then I send the same screenshot to Tim, right, Tim Masso, and I go, hey, what do you
think?
have you ever heard of this brand? So his reply is an unpublished YouTube link, and then he writes below that, well, I just did an interview of the CEO about 4 or 5 hours ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I said,
No kidding.
so I click it and I it was like on his podcast and I watch it, and about halfway through I'm on his website placing an order for this watch,
No kidding.
which is the Norfolk.
And it's not Swiss, it's UK based.
100% UK based. This one was, I can't remember if it was Solida or an ETA movement but so he does only in-house stuff. But at that time he was still like customizing like out of the box movements. So you can see it's like sandblast.
Right, off the shelf stuff. Yeah.
Right. But totally like fully finished. It's beautiful, right? But yeah, so that's a watch that I'll never sell because again, I have a relationship with the owner of the brand. I ended up doing a podcast with him too. Guys,
To me, it almost seems Panerai-esque.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
everything I buy, it has some sort of like it comes back to like a
Yeah.
a minimalist design. Even
Right.
honestly, even this that doesn't seem like it, but
Well, with the big Arabics.
the big Arabics and
I mean,
also like it's Danish, right? So
Right.
it's like it's minimalist in its weight.
Right, it's utility,
It's
right?
utility,
And
yeah.
to say that, that Panerai is the only utility watch or every utility watch was inspired per Panerai.
Panerai.
Maybe not fair, but
Not at all.
they were certainly an inspiration.
So there
Absolutely.
you go. It's Miami Sky Blue. He calls it Norfolk Blue, but it's Miami
So
Sky Blue.
you would say that watch sort of represents where you are currently in your watch journey.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's I've moved on where I still like Omega and I like Panerais. Of
Yeah.
course,
So
and
here's the
Rolex,
question. You've been through a lot of watches.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by watches.
Hundreds of watches myself personally.
Well, what are your top 3 favorite brands? And you only get 3.
Yeah. So I can't answer that question.
You have to answer.
It changes every day.
Okay. So where is it today?
Okay. So I'd say right now, as it stands, it's,
Right. As of lunchtime, ladies
Yeah,
and gentlemen.
so watch brands or watches? 'Cause that's
Watch
different too.
brands.
Okay. So because then I'll have to eliminate Panerai because I don't love the brand or their direction right now. Though I think they have an interim CEO, so maybe they'll change
Now
that.
they have a new CEO, Emmanuel.
Okay. So
Yeah.
okay. So
And he's
maybe
Italian. And he's been with the company since 2006. And he's spectacular.
okay.
I
so
met
then-
him this weekend.
So
So we're very
maybe-
excited. about
Maybe I'll you know what? Based on that,
it.
I'll give it another
You'll give
shot.
him another shot?
Yeah.
That's very, you know what? We're very appreciative. On behalf of the Panerai family, we're very appreciative that you're giving us another shot.
Well, I
Thank you.
appreciate that because I still love the watches. So Linda Verdelin right now is my number one just because
Okay.
it's so different. It's
Yeah.
underrated. I think their watches should trade much more, and that's a whole different conversation. But
Right.
the watches are very unique. There's no better. Put this watch on your wrist. It feels incredible. I love the way it wears. It's so different. It's like a non-pretentious AP. That's kind of how I look at it. Right. So Verdelin's number one. I guess Panerai is in that mix too. I don't want to rank 1, 2, 3, but I'll just
No, you don't
I'll
have to
three.
rank. Just give
Right.
us the 3.
And then
I mean, is it this guy, your micro brand?
Garrick. I mean, it could be Garrick.
Sorry, not micro brand. What do you call it?
Independent. watch brand.
Independent.
So it could be
You know,
Garrick.
That's
You know
like
what?
the difference between a concierge and an escort.
It's a concierge. Okay. All right. So looks good on your wrist, by the way. And look, this
Dude,
is
I
technically a 45.
fell in love with Lynn Verdelin 2010. Okay,
So listen,
100%.
it's technically a 45, but the lug wears like a 42.
Yeah,
Look, it
it's-
fits your wrist.
No, it's
your little
perfect. It's
tiny
good-
baby wrist.
Good ergonomics,
It's
right?
so
Very good
Well,
ergonomics.
The Danish, man, they don't mess up. They don't mess
Wait, is there a date on here or
Yeah,
no
there is.
date?
It's a double digital data.
Yeah, you can't see it there.
Yeah,
right.
that's it is. It's so.
I bought one of these from Steven Ristovsky.
Yeah.
Steven Ristovsky was a big Lynn Verdelin
Yes,
guy.
yeah, he was. Well, 'cause
back
he's
in the
still-
day.
He still loves them, and if they're making new watches.
Shout out
hopefully-
Steven Ristovsky watches.
So
Woo!
you talk about like a watch expert.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Like that guy is forgotten.
He's an
today
under the
more.
hood kind of guy
Yeah.
and an aesthetics guy. I'm mostly an aesthetics,
Well,
form, function kind of guy.
Ristovsky is forgotten more about watches today than I'll ever know. Right, like that guy his knowledge is incredible.
He
I
was-
always look up to
When I met Steven Ristovsky in 2005, he was one of the first guys I met in the watch business that was like a businessman.
Yeah.
You know, that he was almost like a banker.
Right.
Because he came from software
He didn't look like he
development.
crawled out of a gutter.
Sold his company. He's
Right.
wearing a suit and a tie. And he's at an IWJG, you know, get together.
And very successful guy. He's been doing it from the very beginning. Believed in RM when nobody else did, and now he's chasing all.
So your top 3 favorite brands then, as of current, would start with.
So Vertolin.
Yeah.
I guess we'll throw Panerai.
I guess he's throwing Panerai. It's a mercy throw. But.
Yeah, I think you're gonna hate this but actually I think Debatoon right now.
Yeah.
He's having a moment.
Yeah.
Right. It's obviously like, okay, I work for a company that essentially owns the brand or owns the majority of the brand, but I've been able to handle them. I've been able
Disclaimer.
to handle, right. That's true. But and so it's a watch design that takes you, like, it takes almost years to get to a point from like where you first see it and you're like, I don't know. And to now it's like, oh wow, the watch is amazing. So like the level of watchmaking and like artistry, so like hand finishing, all that stuff is so incredibly high. It's up there with basically the highest level of watchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
But also like the engineering and knowing the people behind the brand is incredible. And then like seeing now that they're like scaling down their models a little bit more, so they have the steel wheels and they have the DB28s that are now in 40 millimeters that actually fit. But the first watch I liked, I didn't love it. Now I love it. But when I first saw it, it was a prototype for what they call the Grand Blue, which is their diver watch.
Okay.
And it had, I think Tim calls it a manual wind, what the hell is it? Dynamo or something like that. But basically it has an LED light that is powered mechanically.
Oh yeah.
In the watch.
Really?
Yeah. So, but besides that, it just wears great. It's such a cool watch. It's very distinctive. So I think right now it's going to be, it'll be Vertolin, Panerai, and Debatoon. Like if those
and
were
Debatoon is like your next aspirational watch, you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, right now because it's. I mean, you got to spend like a minimum $40,000-$50,000 to get on the entry at this point, and like their best watches are well over $100,000. So I guess that's my top 3 as of lunch.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, so here's a question for you: what's your craziest watch story?
So, all right, so I mean, honestly, I don't have that I can remember, other than just like clients being wildly unreasonable. But I mean, that's normal stuff, right? So,
yeah.
So I guess the kind of the craziest watch story I have played out actually on ESPN.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
I think I remember this story, but definitely want to share this with our viewers.
Right. So I was working with an NBA player. His name was John Wall. Incredible, point guard, like one of the most athletic guys, amazing player, and just like also just a good guy.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can you date this story for us? What year is this?
2017, I believe.
Okay.
It was the year I moved up to Philadelphia.
Yeah. So this is Watchbox, 1.0 basically.
Basically, right. So,
yeah.
So he, so Govberg Jewelers buys WatchUWant, rebrands to Watchbox. So there's Govberg Jewelers, an authorized dealer of Rolex and other brands. Watchbox is pre-owned. So I was working with John Wall, and he earns this big contract, right? He has an amazing year, earns this big contract, and he wants to give back. That's the kind of guy he is, right? Like getting to know him, like he's just like, that's his mentality, right? So he decides he wants to buy all of his teammates Rolex Presidents. So this is, and I think if I remember correctly, I can look up the dates, but it was like near Christmas or whatever. So that was also part of it, right? So, but it was like, he calls me one night. I'm in Philly. He's like, hey man, I want to get some Rolexes. And I go, okay, tell me what's up. How many? He's like 15. I go, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, so I want to get Rolex Presidents, but I want these kind, right? And he sends me a picture of like a red dial, and it's clearly aftermarket dial. I'm like, oh, that presents a problem, right? We're an authorized dealer. We can't sell him watches with swap dials. But I'm like, all right, well, let me talk to my guys and see what's going on. So I go the next day, and I go talk to the retail manager from our Govberg Jewelers side. I'm like, and Brian Govberg also was helping.
This is George you're talking to?
No, I don't remember who it was, but there was somebody who was in charge of this. Me, I can't remember. It doesn't matter. So I think Brian Govberg was helpful in this as well. So I'm like, hey, this is what he's asking for, and they're like, I don't know. Like, well, we're gonna have to ask Rolex if we can even get the watches, and we definitely can't change out the dials. I'm like, okay. So I go back to John and I go, hey, here's the deal. We're going to ask Rolex. By the way, like, we're an authorized dealer, so we can't mess with dials. We can't do anything aftermarket or whatever. He's like, that's disappointing, but all right, whatever. And so I give him the options of the dials, and we sent off the request. And but they're telling me like, hey, fat chance on this, right? I'm like, okay, it would suck if they say no to a guy spend essentially like $500,000 or whatever. And I'm like, but I'm like, whatever, rules are rules. Rolex is king, right? So,
Sure.
so like a week goes by, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He's bugging me. And finally they come back like, hey, we'll do it. I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, every watch has to be inscribed at Rolex.
Engraved on the case back?
Exactly.
With
engraved
like
on the
their
case,
initials or something?
with their initials and like a date or whatever. So, and I tell John, I'm like, hey, here's the deal. You got to pick from like, current dial colors or whatever. And this is the deal.
Do they all have to be the same color, or were they giving you options on dials?
No, I think they gave us options on
Like,
dials.
what was the idea that every player got the identical watch? Or
No,
were there
so
like
he wanted to have red and blue dials. That was the color for the team, and every guy would have a different one. So I'm like, hey, you gotta pick what they actually offer. So there was, they had a blue dial, they had a rose gold dial, and like a white dial, or whatever. So he goes through and sends me a list of what dial and what the engraving is going to say on each one of them, and we send it off, right? And then now we're just waiting. He's like, after a month goes by or whatever, because I want to say he reached out to me like October for something that he wanted to have delivered like no later than like Christmas. And it's like, so we reach out, like a month goes by, we don't hear anything. And he's like, ask me, I'm like, listen, dude, like, there's nobody on the planet that can like hurry Rolex on something, right? Like they're
15 brand new Rolexes.
right. It's not an easy thing to do, right? So,
Right.
and they're trying to, whatever. So, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes or whatever, but so, they come back with an ETA, which is great. And so, let me think here. So, that's what it was. So they sent us the watches, and I think there was an issue with the dial colors, and somebody on our team just picked other dial colors because they weren't. So, like, even though they didn't realize that he was asking for very specific ones,
Oh,
so we get the watches they're already
Jeez
engraved, and I'm like,
Louise.
and I see them, I'm like, this is wrong, and I'm
holy
freaking out.
shizzy,
So I call
that's
him and
a serious problem.
dude, I'm losing my mind. So I call him and I explain him the situation.
I mean, how off were the dials?
It was just like different colors, and he was very initially he wanted to have
Right.
like this blue and this red that we couldn't do.
Did he give you like a spreadsheet with the numbers or
Yes.
the actual names of the players, and how much inscription was on the case back?
Yeah,
Was
I
it just-
can't
was
remember
it,
exactly.
Hey, buddy, you're my man, or
No. It was like their name and a date, I believe, and I can't remember the full inscription.
So this wasn't to celebrate any particular victory or
No.
anything
It was
like
just
that.
it was just like
a
kindness of
gift-
his heart.
a
Like,
gift-
hey man,
a gift
like
to his teammates.
like I earned this, but really like we're a team and like
Right.
we're all in this together.
I got it.
And like there was young guys on the if you see the video because it was
Was he the
posted-
captain of the team at that time?
He may have been. I don't know.
Okay,
So but I mean he was one of like the top 10 players in the league.
Sure.
And,
yeah, I remember.
incredible player, a great guy. So so I call him and I'm like, hey man, here's the deal. And so he's always very nice. He's never gonna be like fuck you or anything like that. But you could hear in his voice, he was like not happy. I'm like shit. So I'm like, hey, let me do this. Let me send you a picture and a video of what we have here. I mean, they're already inscribed. Like there are watches now, right? So and I'm
what's
like,
the total value of this order? Do you
I
remember?
think it was probably around $500,000.
Okay.
So I go and I send it. I make a video. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna send you some pictures and a video. You tell me what you think. And I'm like, fuck, man, I gotta make the greatest video that's ever been made. And it's funny now. It's on my Instagram. So if you scroll back to like 2017, you'll see I posted that video because it was the one that like he's like, okay, good. So I go and I make a bunch of videos, take a picture, all stuff. And when I decided, I'm like, I line them all up, and I'm just gonna have Christmas music.
I do remember this video.
And I make the video.
I remember this video on Instagram.
Across all these watches. Oh, come back. And like it's just a beautiful video. And it's just like you can see like if I'm looking at this from the outside, I'm like, wow, like next one's better than looking in the next one, all stuff. So I send it off to him and I don't hear from him probably for like a day. And I'm like just sweating, man. Like, you know me, dude. Like I can't, like if unresolved issues are the death of me, man. Like I gotta
And
if I'm gonna
Rolex isn't exactly the easiest company to work with when there are issues.
Well, no, but this is, I mean, this was not their mistake, right? This is
Right.
a mistake on
No,
our
but
side.
it's not like they're going to fix it. They're going to make you buy those watches. and-
Probably, right?
probably
like, yeah,
resell them,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
We're not going to have, these are our watches, right? So, so he, okay, so I make that video and I send it to him and I'm sweating, right? Like for me, like if you're going to kick me in the balls, right? I don't want to wait for it, right? And I'm like freaking out. So the next day he replies something along the lines like, all right, man, those are good. So And that
Thank
was
God.
it. So we
Thank
ended up,
God.
oh, dude, it was crazy. So we
And
ended
then
up
there's videos of you giving
delivering them. Yeah.
delivering
That's
them.
when, so one of his, so we went and delivered the watches. And these guys, like, so somebody else took a video. I didn't even know. One of his guys who I'm friends with now took the video and then posted it. And then it went viral, went on like, so ESPN reposted it. And then also like World Star, all this. So like it got crazy.
It was really Rolex. Wow.
Rolex president, go ahead and take it off the pillow and look at the back. Yeah. Pop the watch off the pillow and look at the case back real quick. And like it went from like I was sweating for like a good month on like, hey, we're not gonna be able to do this. We're not gonna do this. Okay, there's issues. He's gonna tell me to screw off, like whatever, right? And finally,
dude, that video like broke the internet.
Yeah,
I remember it was big time.
Millions of views on that thing.
Big time.
And I had other athletes.
Big time.
Yeah, other athletes reached out to me to do the same thing.
And did you do it?
One guy ended up buying like a few blows or whatever. But yeah, I mean, and I got a bunch of followers on my Instagram, which was cool, and picked up a few different customers from it. And I had people from high school that I hadn't talked to in like 10 years are like, bro, is that you? I saw you. Wow, that's so cool, and all that stuff, you know. And it's just
that is cool.
It's incredible. I mean,
it was a pretty cool thing.
It was really cool because like for me to be part of it. So like the thing about selling watches that I like, obviously I'm a people person.
Really?
Yeah. So, but we're celebrating success, right? Like I always say this, right?
Yes. So here's my last, like a question I think that's very topical and timely in our podcast, right? Mm-hmm. So you went from being a sales associate at WatchUWant. Mm-hmm. WatchUWant, we were like pirates.
Yes, yeah.
And literally people like the brands looked at us
they hated us.
as not brand increasers. We were brand decreasers.
Yes, that's how they see it.
We diluted the brand value as far as they were concerned. We were the scourge of the earth. And then
literally the opposite.
And then you go to work with Govberg Watchbox and the cornerstone of that business is built on being an authorized dealer for Rolex, Patek Philippe, all the Richemont brands, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
What was that like to go from being essentially a pirateer, right, to being the Navy?
So it didn't really, and still doesn't feel different to me, right? Like, because in the end, I'm just selling watches, right? Because like, so, you know, the brands have changed dramatically about this, right? Like Rolex does RCPO, right? Like Rolex Certified Pre-Owned, they are setting a standard for pre-owned Rolex, right? So like they believe that there's a reason to do that, right?
Sure.
And in the past, back when I started with you, the brand saw us like, they're like, yo, you sell a watch and it should disappear and never. It's like, hey man, you make these watches, they're supposed to outlive us. And you're like,
and you don't want to ever hear from them again.
Right. It's like, it's such a stupid idea.
You don't want to have a connection with them. You don't want to give them a registry. Right. You don't even want to replace their warranty card if they lose it. It's like, yeah.
So
for sure. And I always felt that way too. But at the same time, you never could have done business at that level and filled that deal with John Wall if you hadn't been with Government.
Exactly. No. So going back to say 2015 when Governor got involved with us, immediately the best thing was that we had way more inventory, right? Like that changed things dramatically. And that's one of the best. I mean, there's a lot of benefits of working for this company. But that probably stays the same. I remember when I first started working with somebody, be like, hey, do you have this watch? And we'd have to do like the source model.
Yeah.
Because we never had it, right? We had 200 watches in total.
We'd go on eBay, Chrono 24.
Right.
We would go
find it. Like now, somebody asked me if I have a watch, we got 3 of them. It's just, that's really cool. But I mean, in terms of being an authorized dealer, so like it gives you, like we have brand trainings, and it gives you like a look behind the curtain. But in the end, like people are just buying watches, whether it's new or pre-owned.
Yeah.
Like a watch is a watch. And again, like these things by the brand definition, like they're building these things, like Patek says, like, it's just
for the next generation.
Next generation. So
100%.
Okay. So they're supposed to outlive us. So they're not supposed to disappear.
Right.
So whether I sell a new watch or a pre-owned watch, for me, it ends up being the same. At this point, what I like is like I can truly be an advisor because I do have a lot of experience. I've been doing this. Like I said, I think I'm running right up against about $75 million in lifetime sales. And I think my average sale was probably, I think, like $15,000. So you can see how many watches that is. It's thousands of watches, lots of transactions, so many different like learning opportunities, learning about different collectors and all that stuff. So like now I've gotten to a point which I it took me a long time. Now I can truly help advise somebody to build a collection as opposed to like just trying to sell a watch or just trying to build a relationship with the person and sell a watch. Now it's like, let's talk about your collection. And like, they ask me like, hey, what would you do? And now I've collected, now I've had hundreds of watches over the last, decade or so. And so like, I know that experience of buying and trading out and like missing a watch and all that stuff. So I can connect with them. So at this point, yeah, man, I'd say, but so in terms of working with like going from the pirate to the Navy, yeah, I mean, we got so much firepower. Yeah. We can stand behind watches better than anybody else. That's great too, right? I think when I first started with you, it was a 90-day warranty, I think. And that was just standard. That's probably more than anybody else gave, right? And then we had a 12-month and then maybe an 18-month. And now we're...
And people are like, your warranty or watches for 12 months?
Right.
Crazy?
Yeah, crazy. I mean, I know,
how do you make money like that?
I know dealers still, they don't warranty them at all. And like,
it's crazy.
Or
no returns.
Right, yeah, no returns. So like, that's what's great about working for such a large company is that we can, so I tell people this, it's like, you might be able to find a better deal somewhere else in the sense of like, less money out.
Dollars and cents.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But when you factor in the convenience factor, number one, right? The fact that we're going to stand behind that watch truly. Like I had a guy who bought a watch 19 months ago from me. Okay. It's an AP. It stopped working. Right. He calls anybody else. They're like, new phone, who this?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? He goes, and so what I did is I immediately go to our CRM. I log a repair ticket. Somebody from our repair team, because we have a whole team of repair, reaches out to him, sends him a label, says, hey, man, we're going to take care of this for you. Oh, yeah. And that's why the guy's coming back to me.
Yeah.
He could have found the watch for a couple grand less, maybe.
Sure.
But
sure.
So that's part of, why, like, I'm not going to say I haven't had offers to go work for like smaller operations that maybe I would have maybe a larger impact in that company. And of course I would think about things like that. But honestly, it's like, man, like if I was going to work for anybody in this industry, why would I want to work for anybody else really? It's just,
you've got all the arrows in your quiver.
Yeah, we got everything. It's just like, I can service customers better than anything else. And, there's always going to be up and downs and there's going to be different things that maybe, are hard for me to understand in terms of like, company process or like decisions made. But ultimately, me as a business owner anyways, like I can take a step back and say, listen, if I own this company, I would probably make that decision too. It might not be in my best interest, but I'm going to make it work. And generally it always works out. Like there's a big benefit to working for a company like that. And like, there's a lot of the culture from where we started, the WatchUWant culture, even if people don't even realize it, because there's so many different people even running the company and whatnot, like a lot of the stuff that drives what we do at 1916 came from, you and Shannon.
KYC, know your customer.
Yeah, it's a huge, I mean, that's everything, man. Like
100% relationships.
It's literally everything. Yeah.
And that to me is what makes it fun. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today, man. This has been such a great pleasure. So long overdue. And I'm just right there, baby. Privileged to have you and privileged to call you my friend.
Thanks, OJ. This was fun. Absolutely.